What is up, the Lions fans? It's your boy Motor City Don P. We are back here once again, and you already know what time it is. Apparently, it is time to be unpleasant. Shout out Pierce Sargent in the chat. But one thing is for certain, and three things are for sure. When you see me in front of TV, number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats, not none of that static. And number three, perhaps the most important number of them all, number three, want to make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. Now, here is what you may want to know. How, Don, how, Mr. P, does one keep their Lions news and pragmatic, especially during home time, especially during vacation time, especially when the season is over and there is nothing to do but cry about it? That's all we can do about it. Well, you got to smash that like button. You got to subscribe. You got to share. And who should you share with? Well, you should share with your peoples, because once you've shared this with your mothers, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your fathers, your sisters, your mothers, your fathers, you name it, you have indeed cared about those people, and you have indeed kept your Lions news pragmatic. And you know what we are going to talk about today. We are going to be talking about the end of an era. We're going to be talking about the end of tenures. We're going to be talking about the end of contracts. We're going to be talking about the end of it all, the end of the season. It is officially the offseason for the Detroit Lions. There is one more meaningless game. And while we don't want to see Usama bin Johnson ever get the last laugh or any laugh at all, it might be time to throw the towel in and pull Jahmyr Gibbs. Let David Montgomery do it because he ain't had his carries. Pull Jahmyr, pull Jared, pull Amon-Ra, pull Panay, pull Taylor Decker. Let the vet squad play. Because apparently, after the Steelers game, for some unknown reason, Dan Campbell was impressed with Kingsley Eguakun. I don't know what he saw out there. I know what I saw. Graham Glasgow was actually active yesterday, but it was in a reserve role. It's not like he was good to go 100% to play. It's if they needed him, and it kind of looked like they needed him. Two fumbled snaps. One of them, the last one, pretty much put the nail in the coffin. It was pretty far in there anyway, but nobody could say after that fumble and recovery by Andrew Van Ginkel that the nail was outside of the coffin in any way, shape, form, or fashion. What up, though, Pierce Sargent? What up, though, Brett DeWitt? What up, though, Greater Good? I will get to your comments in a second. So there were some things that happened yesterday. The biggest thing that I take issue with today is outrage that we lost to Max Brosmer. And I don't care about Max Brosmer. I don't care about Max Brosmer at all. We didn't lose to Max Brosmer. We lost to Brian Flores. Max Brosmer had nothing to do with anything. He had a scramble, which Aleem McNeil quit on. It didn't run it all the way out, which allowed him to pick up an additional 8 yards. That was his only contribution to the game. That's it. He had no other contributions. We sacked him 7 times. He threw for 51 yards, but they wound up with 3 yards passing. So you go ahead and do the math. Max Brosmer had no effect on the game. He picked up a first down. Again, I heard someone say something about, the end around, and Max Brosmer had nothing to do with that end around. He didn't run it. He simply handed the ball to Jordan Addison. He didn't run it. He didn't fake it. He didn't do anything. He literally did nothing. In the scale of quarterback wins and all this other stuff, that was not a quarterback win. I don't think there's been a game in the history of the NFL in which the quarterback has had less to do with the outcome of the game than what Max Brosmer did yesterday. So if you want to say, well, technically we lost to this third string undrafted rookie, blah, 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 you can say that all you like. But overall, for the most part, the defense against Max Brosmer was a clown show. I mean, we clowned him. It was like he was in the circus. He had the big red nose. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't throw the football. He could do nothing. Y'all thought JJ McCarthy didn't have much to do with the win the first time with his 150 total yards of offense? What about Max Brosmer's, 15? He picked up 12 on the run and had 3 passing. What about that? 15 yards of total offense. So if you want to say we lost to him, you can say that, but Dan Campbell lost that game to Brian Flores. Dan Campbell lost the game to Brian Flores because Brian Flores had the exact same game plan against him and Jared Goff that he had in week 8 when we came off the bye, or week 9, whatever it was, and got smacked in Detroit by this same Minnesota Vikings team. There was no adjustment. We knew what Brian Flores was going to do. He's going to bring pressure. He's going to bring pressure up the middle. He's going to bring pressure around the side, the edges. And guess what? I got some smoke for Jared Goff too, but I'm going to give it to him after I get to your comments. But overall, the things that I said that Johnny Moe needed to do to beat that Vikings team were the same things that Dan Campbell needed to do to beat that Vikings team, and he didn't do it. If you let that defense come straight up to the line of scrimmage, you don't spread them out, you don't stretch them out, your quarterback has no chance against this offensive line, and we're going to get into all of that in a bit. But you let them stack the line of scrimmage, you let them stack the box, and you played the exact same game as them. Well, we got to keep everybody in tight. No, we don't. Who told you that? Who told you that as an offensive coordinator, as a play caller, you have to bend to the will of the defense? You have to match up your formations with their formations. Who told you that? There were no adjustments made all season. That bringing in everybody tight because you're trying to play a certain style of football that you don't have the pieces to play. And that's on Melvin. I'm about to get into my syndicate bag. Y'all ready? Melvin, Bradley, Cornelius, Matthias, Bartholomew, Desmond, Equibon, Promethean, Corinthians, Holmes. Okay? It was on that guy. Not having the pieces. And we're going to get into a little bit more. Let me get to your comments. All right. Time to be unpleasant, says Pierce Sargent. What up, though? I said all season I'd be unpleasant. It's here. Facts. Oh, we start everywhere. Melvin failed this roster because we good. Dan Campbell said that, but okay. But I understand it. What up, though, Brent DeWitt? Just watched the game, and Dad would have said that was a monkey effing a football. That's crazy. Pull that thing out, too, and ride on Vikings. Pause. If Melvin says we are dumb again, he needs to go. We're going to talk about Melvin. And Tyler Lindenbaum from the Ravens needs to be a Lion. So here's my question. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about all that. Flores took MCDC to the woodshed. He certainly did, and he left him there. He beat his ass there and left him there. We're not doing mailbag yet. Come on now. We just started. Dan is a motivator, not a guru coach. Facts. They stay getting paid. That is true. All right. Again, for those of you guys who are here lurking in the background, who are freaking out about the salary cap, it's not a thing. Okay? I'm here to tell you right now. We have $14 million right now of cap space. Without any cuts, without any restructures, without any readjustments of any contracts. Here's the thing that I need you guys to understand. I'm gonna walk through slowly. All of the major contracts that we have signed have void years. What void years are years that you put at the end of the contract, usually 3 to stretch it out further. That when you put money on those void years, it mitigates the cap hit. That's one way to do things. The other way to do things is to convert cap hits into signing bonuses, which immediately clears money off of the books. That's number 2. Okay? Here's the thing. People have been freaking out about Jared Goff and his $69 million cap hit. It's not going to happen. It's already agreed upon that it will be restructured. That's number 1. Number 2, Penei Sewell has a big cap hit. Restructure. Number 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown has a big cap hit. Restructure. If we restructure and cut and trim fat and all this other stuff, we will free up $100 million. Just about, very close to $100 million. So for anybody that thinks that there's a free agent out there who is expensive or too expensive, just remember, we will free up $100 million. And every free agent we sign is not going to be 20, 25 million, 30 million. It's not going to be that. But you can go get you one of those. You can go get a major dude in free agency. So the Tyler Lindenbaum situation where you'll have to pay him 20 to 25 million, you can be in that race. You can be in that competition. And this is without Sheila doing what I said and selling stake in the team so that she can, again, if you haven't heard it before, I'm not telling Sheila to sell the team because a lot of times when I say things, people think I'm saying something else. I'm not telling Sheila to sell the team. There are stakes in the team. There's a percentage of ownership that she can sell, making sure that she is and the Ford family is going to be the majority owners. For example, you could sell 40% of the stake of ownership in the team and still be 60% owner. Really, to be the majority owner, all you need to do is a 51-49 deal. Well, you have 51% ownership and the other entity has 49%. So however close you want to get to that 51-49 is up to you. But the closer that you get to it, the more money that's going to come your way. The more money that comes your way, the more money you can put in escrow. The more money you can put in escrow, the more guaranteed money you can have on the books at once. Because that's all you need is money for guaranteed money. Money to put in escrow. Again, I repeat this because you know someone is going to come in. And I've said this about 7, 8, 9, 10 times already. But someone is going to come in and say, you're crazy, you're a casual, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not how salaries work. It is how they work in the NFL. It is how contracts work in the NFL. You must have enough money to put into escrow accounts so you can guarantee money. Okay. Now, the thing about the void years that I talked about, when you put money on top on them, then that spreads things out. Guess what? There's no money on any of these void years. Kerby Joseph has 3 void years with no money on it. That means you can put money on it to make his salary even smaller. Because again, we went over Kerby Joseph's salary or his contract when he signed it, when we got the numbers. Okay. He's making $21.2 million a year, but he's not making $21.2 million a year. He has very little in base salary. So that means because he has very little in base salary, it is going to not count too much against the cap. A lot of Kerby Joseph's money is in options. Okay. In bonuses. So he's got option bonuses. He's got workout bonuses. He's got this, that, and the third thing. Some of his cap hits are like $2 million in a year. But he's going to get paid $21 million with a cap hit of 2. Now, you make that make sense. Well, that's how they do it. Okay, so he's got no money on his void years, so they can restructure. Penei Sewell, no money, restructure. Amon-Ra St. Brown, no money, restructure. Jared Goff, no money, restructure. You see how this works? This is how it's going to work for the offseason. So if Bargain Bin Brad, shout out Syndicate, right? Because that's what he calls them. And I give credit, bro. I don't be sitting up here stealing people's stuff. Okay, I'm not going to steal it and say it was mine. No. Bargain Bin Brad, great nickname. That's Syndicate's thing. I'm not, I don't take credit for other people's work. If I cite your work, believe me, it's going to be in the, what's that thing called at the end of the essay? Anybody know? Extra points. Okay. It's called a bibliography, but okay. So if I cite your work, best believe it's going to be in the bibliography. Anyway, if Bargain Bin Brad decides to bargain bin shop, then this team is going to go the same way. Here's what happened yesterday, and here's what's been happening throughout the entire year. Remember, we are currently a 500 team. We're 8-8. Okay? We're 8-8, but remember how we got here, because 9-7 wasn't good enough. What happened yesterday is you really found out that you were no longer the bully, because you got bullied and you got punked. And this is what's been happening to you all season long. Remember when I ran down all of the stats that Jahmyr Gibbs had in all these games rushing, all those games where he was under 5 yards per carry? He had 3 yards per carry here, 2 yards per carry there, 0.2 yards per carry here. Remember that? That was you getting punked, because you couldn't open a hole for him to run through. Monty. At one point in the game yesterday, Monty had 8 carries for 8 yards. Your offensive line is not bullying anyone. They're not bullying anyone. Your offensive line can't protect Jared Goff. Here's the thing about Jared Goff. And here's where he's at fault, because nobody likes to fault Jared Goff. Did anybody see Jared Goff throwing on the run yesterday? Did y'all see it? I just want to know if you saw it. And if you saw it, if you remember it, did you know he could do that? Because what I was told when I was saying earlier this year, I was saying that they should be moving the pocket. They should be moving the pocket. And someone told me Jared Goff's not a guy who can move the pocket. He's not a guy who can throw on the run. He can't roll out. That's what I was told. Okay, cool. Did y'all see it though? Did you see it? I just want to know. Greater good. That is all pause. What up, the Polar Mafia? Yes, Chris Sargent, the bibliography. Okay. So we saw Goff throw on the run. Here's the thing. A lot of us didn't know Jared Goff could do that. But the part where Jared Goff failed this football team is that he's had 10 years to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. He's had 10 years to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And guess what he hasn't done? He hasn't gotten comfortable being uncomfortable. Every offseason, Jared Goff should be like Goku and Vegeta. When they go to the training, the anti-gravity training planet, right? That's where Jared Goff needs to go. He needs to go and train specifically for discomfort. He needs to go and train with defensive linemen that are going to bear down on him and give him a thump. Not hit him, just a little thud. So he knows that the pressure is real. Right? Because if a guy just runs by you and throws his hands up in the air, your mental response is not going to be what you need it to be. But he's going to tap you. Pause. He's going to give you a little thud, a little thump. Not going to take you to the ground. Right? But he's going to wrap you up and let you feel that pressure collapse around you. Because when he gets pressured, even though he showed you escape the pocket, he turns into what did y'all say? What did y'all call him? The wounded giraffe? Like he's just, everything goes out of the window. We're throwing footballs to people while we're falling down. We're throwing interceptions. We're just doing all types of craziness because he has no poise under pressure. I'm not going to say poise in the pocket. He's got poise in the pocket. He has no poise under pressure. So the narrative that you have to have everything perfect around Jared Goff for Jared Goff to be successful was started by Jared Goff himself. Because Jared Goff has not done the necessary work to be able to stand in the face of pressure and know exactly what to do. Remember what I said earlier this year? Remember we talked about pass rush plan, and I told you that pass rush plan generally it is a term that is reserved for defensive ends, defensive tackles, people that are rushing the passer. What's your pass rush plan? Meaning, what are your first, second moves, maybe your first, second, and third moves? What are you doing? Are you swimming, chopping, and then spinning? Are you spinning, chopping, and swimming? Are you spinning and swimming? Are you spinning and chopping? Are you chopping and spinning? Whatever it is, what's your pass rush plan? How are you going to get past the guy in front of you? And I said that Jared Goff has to have a pass rush plan as well for what are you going to do to escape the pressure? And we saw Jared Goff elude pressure twice and deliver passes down the field. I think one was to Amon-Ra St. Brown and the other one was to J-Mo. if I'm not mistaken. If I am mistaken, that means both of them were Tom and Ross St. Brown. He's had 10 years in this league where he could have gotten comfortable being uncomfortable. But you're not too uncomfortable being on the radio talking about how pissed you are that the fans don't believe in you. Yeah, you're pissed off. I hope you're still pissed off, Jared. Just like your coach said, I don't like sitting home when it's playoff time. And we'll get into that next. All right. Comments. Two players he rolled out on. Facts. Remember, gambling never pays. Goff needs to work on his 5-yard sprint, so when he drops down and goes limp, he can do a 5-yard sprint first. Yeah, instead of just giving up. The real question for the golfers out there is, do they actually feel confident he can lead the Lions to the Super Bowl? And I know that's not a question for me, but again, where he failed, because if you give him everything, if you protect him 100%, he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Cool. So Brad failed by not doing everything that he needed to do. That's cool. But if you have the ability to roll out, why? Like you talking about, you want to get 2% better every offseason. Why has that not been something you focused on? I crap the bed in pressure situations. I need to get better. I mean, just self-reflection, looking in the mirror. I'm not reliable under pressure. I let my team down under pressure. I fold when pressure comes into my face. Pause. So how do I deal with that? I just need to go get pressure. I need to seek out pressure. I need to go to a high school football field with some linemen, and they gotta pressure me, and I gotta sidestep, and I gotta get out the way. I gotta work on moves to maneuver in the pocket and get away from the pressure that's directly in my face. Because if he's been doing that for 10 years and it ain't worked, that's a problem he's got mentally. But I just don't think that that's been part of his. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt by saying that hasn't been a part of his offseason workouts. Because if it has been part of his offseason workout, he's a failure. Because ain't nothing worked at all. What up, though, Mr. Detroit City? I appreciate you, my bro. So it's either get a center or replace Goff. Either way, it's on Mel. All right. Now, this is something that's floating around, and I'm glad old boy ain't here. The dude that I was arguing with yesterday, it told me that Caleb Williams' coach has nothing to do with his mobility. Okay. All right. Anyway, get rid of Goff for who? Who's a realistic option for Goff? I don't, and I should do more with college football. How's Arch Manning doing? Because this crop of quarterbacks, like even the Saints stopped tanking. They don't believe in Shuck. Stop it. They stopped tanking. They were like, oh, snap. Ain't nothing happening in college for these quarterbacks. Who's coming out? I don't know. There are no can't miss prospects. Maybe there's some diamonds in the rough that'll surprise you. But by everything that I've heard, by every metric, this is a terrible quarterback class. So you're not drafting anybody. Who are you replacing Goff with? Realistically, it's Tua, Danny Dimes, or Kirk Cousins. The only viable option in any of those names is Danny Dimes, who is coming off an Achilles injury. So, I mean, maybe you could get him for the Lowski, sign him as a backup and let him heal a year. I don't know. Sit behind Goff. I don't know. Carson Beck, come on. Carson Beck, really? Carson Beck, 25th year senior Carson Beck. No, sir. No, sir. What up, though? 313 Thug Living. Carson Beck, brother. I like Baker Mayfield. He just never had the weapons on the teams like Goff has. We're not getting Baker Mayfield. I'm saying, what's a realistic? How are we going to get Baker Mayfield? That's my question to you. When I say replace Goff with who, I need realistic suggestions, because we're not doing the fantasy. We're not doing Madden GM here, right? Because if we're doing Madden GM, I got Lamar. What are we talking about? Who you got? I got Lamar. I got Josh Allen. You know what I mean? And maybe even Patrick Mahomes. You know, I'm gonna go get somebody on the Lions easily. I'm gonna turn off trades. I'm gonna turn off the salary cap, and we're just gonna make it happen. I mean, turn off trade veto. We're just gonna make it happen. Whoever I want, I'm gonna go get. Realistically, the only realistic person right now comes via trade. And Jared Goff has a no trade clause in his contract, so he would have to waive this clause. That person is Joe Burrow. Because Joe Burrow doesn't want to be in Cincinnati anymore. Did y'all hear him in that press conference when he was like, I mean, I got to reevaluate whether I enjoy my life, you know, because if I'm going to do this thing, I got to enjoy it. And I don't really, I'm not having fun. Y'all having fun? Because I ain't. Do I look like I'm having fun? Look at my face. Does my face look fun to you right now? Is anybody want to tell me in this room what fun feels like? Because I don't have no clue. Okay, this is Joe Burrow. But then again, Joe Burrow's always injured. Every year he's the comeback player of the year. So, I mean, going to a place with a porous offensive line, I mean, just better ownership, better culture. But, you know, got to fix the offensive line. That's my point. Play Kyle Allen against the Bears. Yeah, against the Bears, yeah, of course. Realistic. And Tua and Kirk Cousins aren't realistic. Okay? They're not realistic. Because for them to be realistic is, who would we consider? If you would consider Tua, and I know you wouldn't, Pierce Sargent, but you need to go sit down with that dude from yesterday someplace. Okay? Y'all need to go sit down together. Anybody that's looking for Tua or Kyler Murray or Kirk Cousins need to go sit down someplace with old boy who just hates golf, you know? Baker not having the weapons, Mike Evans, Godwin, Bucky, come on. Yeah, and Baker, yeah, he has weapons. They got injured this year, but he's had weapons. You know, him having weapons is why it was tough for us to beat them last year. But we, you know what I mean? Like, come on. They got weapons. Malik Willis, who we should have drafted. No, we shouldn't have drafted Malik Willis. Come on now. Come on now. Because you know what? By not drafting him, you saved yourself a first round draft pick. He's a guy that needed to be developed. Okay? They did develop Goff. They believed in Goff. I wouldn't mind Malik Willis as a backup, but you know what they're not going to do? They're not going to sign Malik Willis. You know why they're not going to sign Malik Willis? Because as soon as you sign Malik Willis, there will be a large uproar from the fan base to replace Jared Goff with Malik Willis. It happened with Hendon Hooker when he got drafted. That was before they paid Goff. They're not going to sign Malik Willis. This regime and the previous regime has never been has never put any importance in the backup quarterback position ever. What up, though, Tactical Sport? Honestly, the money matches for Burrow. The money matches, but Jared Goff has a no trade clause and Burrow has a no full seasons clause in his contract. So that's the problem, especially over here where we can't keep anybody upright. Don, I would not consider Tua or Cousins. Don't put words. I know you. I said, see, I'll be qualified. Look, I said, I know you're not doing that. I said, but if you are, and anybody who is, need to go sit down with old boy someplace. I said you would. I know you're not like that. Gibbs might not want to stay and want to trade. Come on now. What is this? Where is this coming from? Gibbs? The guy that they force-fed the football, he doesn't want to stay? No, Monty is the one that would not want to stay. Yeah, I know what you said. I know you meant that. I know you wasn't talking about Tua and Cousins. I know. I got you. I'm not disparaging your name. That's why I qualify those things when I say if you were, though, because I said I know you weren't, but if you were, then over there. Okay. All right. Now, because we have one off season to get some semblance of normalcy. Can they do it in one offseason and make this team a Super Bowl contender? Yes. But what if I told you? What if I told you that you need to spend all the free agent money on the offensive line? Even if you don't spend it all, even if you said, I need a center, I need a tackle, because who knows if this is Taylor Decker's last year or not? Who knows if Frank Ragnow is coming back? And the thing about Frank Ragnow is this. You need a written and set in stone concrete answer from Frank Ragnow if he's coming back or not. If he's coming back, you need to have daily check-ins with him about his physical health. Because if he hurts himself training again or whatever the case may be, then you need to have a real decision to make about who you're going to sign or draft. I'd love for Frank Ragnow to be able to come back and give you 3 years. Therefore, you don't have to sign or draft anyone, and you can use that money and those draft picks elsewhere. I'd love for that to be the case. But with Frank Ragnow and his health, again, you're gambling. You're gambling with everybody, and it's nowhere near the Marcus Davenport situation. Nowhere near it. It's nowhere near the Emmanuel Mosley situation. Nowhere near it. But here's the thing that Brad Holmes has to learn. You have to have a contingency plan for an injured player. So if Frank Ragnow comes back, we need to get at least a B-tier center in free agency and or the draft. We need to have options, because Dan coming out here talking about he was impressed with Kingsley against the Steelers is crazy to me. Again, we need to stop all this vet crap, this vet squad BS. Okay? Believing in people is not enough to make them great. They've already got to be great, and that belief just pulls it out of them. Kingsley Eguakun is not great. He's a backup to the backup. He's not great. I'm sorry. As much you want to believe in him all you want, he's not great. So I'm going to say that the free agency money, you need 3 elite pieces on the offensive line. You need a center, you need a guard, and you need a tackle. Now, if you get an elite center, it's going to make your guards look better. So, I mean, whatever you do, look at what the Bears did, bro. Look at what the Bears did. The Bears said, we're ready to win now. And they bought an offensive line. And they bought a defense. And I'm not saying I want you to replicate the Bears and their approach to free agency and all this other stuff. But yeah, damn, do something. Spend some money. And I'm not talking about on your own guys. Again, guys, listen. Extending Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't matter for this year. It doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything. You're going to pick up their 5th year options. Yes, there's going to be a jump in their cap hit. But whatever new money they get ain't kicking in until 2027. Right? Was this year 4 for Jahmyr Gibbs? Or is he going into year 4? No, he's going into year 4, because going into year 4 is when you have to pick up the 5th year option. Okay? So year 4 for Jahmyr Gibbs is 2026. You pick up the option. Year 5 is 2027. I'm sorry, I was wrong. It's going to kick in 2028. New money for Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, if you sign them to an extension, is going to kick in 2028. Which means you're not making any payments until 2028. Hutch's deal doesn't kick in until 2027. You're not making any payments to Hutch other than what he's already guaranteed and his 5th year option. Hutch is going to be on his 5th year next year. The salary cap is going to rise twice by the time the new money kicks in for Jack Campbell and Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm just saying, you have money. Don't listen to Bargain Bin Brad. Don't listen to all that crying, broken, poor. Don't listen to it. You got money. All right, let's see what some of your solutions are. All right, yeah, I got a lot, so let me get to these. There was a lag on your end. Oh, good. All right. With this run game, who would stay? Brother. No. No. First, they need to fire the coordinators and hire Rex Ryan for defensive coordinator and John Gruden for offensive coordinator. No. Why are we so convinced that John Gruden would be a good offensive coordinator? Do you remember his tenure with the Raiders? Do you remember if that offense was good or not? No. Who offensive coordinator needs to come from the Shanahan tree, because that's how you fix the run game. He needs to come from the Shanahan tree. So it needs to be Mike McDaniel. It needs to be whoever, if their offensive line coach, their running back coach, whatever the case may be, someone who's involved in the Shanahan tree running game. That's who you go get as an offensive coordinator. Okay? Because running is what they do. I don't know that Rex Ryan wants to come off of TV and be a defensive coordinator. We can do it in one. Lindenbaum is priority number one. Dan and Fraley go to Maryland and don't leave without a yes. Tackle in the draft. Yeah, which players exactly and which problems? Edge in the draft. Whew. See, you already done messed up, Pierce. Brad don't take edges in the draft, bro. He don't. Going away from Frank. Yeah, that's probably the best option. Best FA center and draft one. Rex Ryan is the guy to help give us the best defense in Detroit. My wish off season is trade Koff and get a rookie. Please start coming in the beginning, because we're sitting up here talking about the contract is too high. I addressed that already. I addressed it already. Get what rookie quarterback and what vet? What are we talking about? So you are actually talking about going backwards. I just said the crop of quarterbacks this year is ass. So what rookie quarterback are we getting? And what the F vet are we getting? What vet? Kirk Cousins? What are we talking about? Lord have mercy. Dan isn't a good coach when it comes to making game time decisions. Nobody had anything to say about Dan Campbell's coaching until he took over as the offensive coordinator. And maybe he's just not great as an offensive coordinator. But game time decisions, nobody was saying that when we were 15-2. Game time decisions. This year, they did not make adjustments. They didn't make in-game adjustments. Now, I think maybe that's what you mean. Lions got to upgrade their medical staff. I think that's more on Dan Campbell, bro. I think Dan Campbell needs to stop hitting on Fridays. They need to stop having such physical practices. Yes, we can be physical. We know how to be physical. We play football for a living. but practicing hard and everybody's beat down and injured by the time game time comes, that's a problem. So here's what we do. We make this Frank's last season, move Sewell over because he is getting left tackle money, grab the best center in free agency, pick up a guard, left or right, don't care. Not a bad plan. Not a bad plan. Are we cutting Taylor Decker, or are we asking him to retire? Brad's plan Bs are not working. Hope he changes his philosophy. Dan did say that him and Brad have to sit down and they have hard decisions to make and they have to look at everything. One of the hardest decisions, one of the hardest changes for a stubborn person is to change their ways. And I think they're both stubborn. To some degree, you don't get to where they've gotten without being stubborn. To some degree, you don't get to where they've gotten without having belief in yourself and the way that you do things. However, when you have too much belief, then it can be a problem. And that's the problem with Dan and Brad, is they have too much belief in the way that they do things. And it came back to bite us in the ass. Draft a right tackle or grab a right tackle in free agency. Nah, I mean, that doesn't have to happen. They don't have to be championship Super Bowl coordinators. Osama bin Johnson wasn't a championship or a Super Bowl coordinator. So, Mahogany becomes the swing backup guard. No worries with that. Put Frazier at left guard. But you just said it had to be a championship Super Bowl coordinator. You kind of contradicting yourself. Guys, come on, man. Come on. Trade Montgomery for who? Montgomery is a 30-year-old running back. What is his trade value? Is it anything? What are you getting for Montgomery? Who's trading for a 30-year-old running back? Or almost 30. How old is Montgomery? Let me make sure that I'm correct here. If he's not 30, I know he's pushing 30. He's 28. Okay? So that means he'll be 29 next season. Who's trading for an almost 30-year-old running back? We don't have to get rid of Reader. He's no longer under contract. He's gone. We need four defensive linemen. 4 defensive linemen. I can't. I can't, bro. Jameis Winston. Y'all have to be trolling me. Y'all have to be trolling me. Y'all got to be trolling me. Okay. I mean, I get it. I get Jameis. I get Jameis. We're gonna revitalize his career as a starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions, and he's gonna be begging God to deliver him from pick sixes. Cool. I mean, I get it. Yeah, we have a problem with our secondary. All our players are injured, and our cornerbacks suck. But I would make sure that the offense is 100% fixed. The offensive line with Jared Goff has to be fixed. This has to be fixed. All right. As I get through the rest of these comments, you know what time it is. Mailbag, mailbag. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they reading you? Mailbag, mailbag. Six mailbag. Get your mailbag questions in. Get them in. Bask in it. And it's not like we can trade Goff anyway with a, no trade clause. Facts. I don't. Yes, I said they're both stubborn. Oh my God, bro, get out. Bye. Bye, bro. Don't forget, Branch probably won't be available for most of the season. No, he won't. And isn't this his last year under contract? So, what do you do with that situation? Kenny Rogers, the singer? We talking about Rogers. Oh, the Lions lost to a rookie. See, I told you, I told you guys, I told you it was gonna happen. It's like I'm Nostradamus in this bitch. Like, what are we talking about, bro? Has MCDC lost his locker room? It seems like he has in his interviews. I think there's something else going on. Remember, DJ Reader alluded to some things going on behind the scenes. I don't know that he's lost the locker room. I don't think so. I think there's a potential rift between him and Brad because Brad is not giving him the players that he needs. So there's some frustration there for sure. But I don't know if he's lost the locker room. I don't think so. So we need to replace all of those guys who were never impactful. I don't think you need to replace all of every person that you talked about was a backup except for Davenport. So Reader is a free agent, so he's leaving anyway. So I would say there's two guys there. A true number one cornerback. Yes. Can we get anything for DJ Reed? Yeah, that was somebody said that. It is a contract year for Branch and Laporta. Yeah, because they were second round picks. So they don't have a fifth year option. There are people. We've always needed a number two edge rusher, guys. That's nothing new. Contract, I'm sacrificing the Branch deal. That's fine because Branch tore his Achilles. We don't know if Branch will ever be Branch again. You know what I mean? Like, an Achilles is still a potential, death certificate. Not an ACL and MCL no longer, but an Achilles to get, and it's going to take you. Look at Kirk Cousins. Now I know Kirk Cousins is older. Look at Aaron Rodgers. I know these people are older, but they don't play the position that Brian Branch plays. You feel me? And it took them a year to get back. They don't need their Achilles like Brian Branch does. But he's not going to go. He's not. He's going to get a chance to fix this. Laporta has proven since being out how valuable he is. Facts. Is the Lions secretly tanking and everyone just overthinking it? Tanking for whom? Who are you tanking for, brother? And if you're secretly tanking, why would you tank to 8-8? Probably 8-9. Why wouldn't you tank to 2-15? Why wouldn't you tank for a top 10, top 5 pick? Why would you tank for something in the middle? That's not viable. I don't know if this is a Vikings fan or now to be fair, he actually threw for 51 yards. He got sacked for -48, which is why we said 3 yards. 51 yards isn't much better. As I said, the yardage counted backwards. Just like it counted forwards, it counted backwards. So, you know what I'm saying? This is I'm gonna deal with this the entire offseason. I'm gonna be getting trolled, right? Because a lot of y'all are trolling. Not you, Tactical, but there's a lot of trolls in here. As far as to address the situation when you said you need 4 defensive linemen, you need Aleem McNeil to live up to his contract. You need Tyleik Williams to live up to his draft position. That's 2 that you'll have. And then you need someone on the other side, because while AQM was more of a specialist, believe it or not, we let James Houston go and then got the same with AQM. He's just a little bit bigger. He's not good in the run game, right? AQM per spot track, his market value, because he had a double-digit sack season, is $8 million per year. You're not bringing him back. So you draft a guy, again, asking Brad Holmes to draft a defensive end is like asking a British person to season their food when they cook. Had to make sure I kept it PC. So that part I don't really have a lot of faith in. But like Levi Onwuzurike, Josh Pascal, Mekhi Wingo, like those people were never factors anyway. They weren't. You know, Josh Pascal missed a lot of tackles and a lot of time. Levi Onwuzurike shouldn't have been re-signed in the first place. Only played one healthy season in Detroit. And then at the end of that healthy season, tore his ACL. So I don't. 4 is not is not the actual number. Half the team free agents. This team will look so different, very different. The fans got the voice. If we all unite and constantly call for Holmes to get sacked, the front office and ownership will have no choice but to listen to the fans and sack him. We've got the voice. Do you remember the Million Man March? The Million Man March? I don't know how old you are, but do you remember the Million Man March? That did not get Millen fired. Honestly, I would be fine with just someone opposite Hutch and depth along the D line. We have too many holes on the O line and the secondary. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're not getting 4 defensive linemen. That's crazy. Roy Lopez is probably coming back. You know, Tyleik needs to do his job. Aleem needs to do his job, and we need to get somebody opposite Hutch. That's all. It's not gonna happen, bro. It's not gonna happen. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Got some things to do. Once again, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. We came to give you stats, not none of that static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. We are entering the off season. I don't know how much coverage of the Bears we're gonna do next week, but we'll do something. We'll have some breakdowns. We'll have some contract talk. We'll have all that stuff. Free agents pending, available. We'll get into all that stuff, man. Starting next week because the season is officially over. We'll have one last watch party for the Bears game. I think I don't even know what time it'll be. It'll probably be an early afternoon game. And if there's any game that I miss trying to start at 5 a.m., it would be that one because it won't matter at all. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see how the week goes. All right, y'all. We're out. Peace.